Reporter Jack Fink is here. Jack, you have covered various Trump rallies, the ones that have been here in their own backyard in Dallas, a major one in Waco. The preparation for security and safety is par for the course.
Well, yeah, Steve, I mean, obviously the first thing you realize when you arrive to cover a Trump rally or speech is all the supporters who are there. We're talking about thousands of people, which obviously present its own challenges. Now, before anyone is allowed to go in, they've got to go through security, either metal detectors and wands, their bags are checked. And the last Trump speech I covered was at the NRA convention in downtown Dallas back in May. And we in the media, as in all of these, have to go through security. All our equipment has to be checked, sometimes 6 to 8 hours before the event, as Secret Service conducts its sweep, which includes bomb-sniffing dogs. And the one thing that stands out about Trump's rallies, whether in Dallas or in Waco in March of last year, the former president also has a lot of elected officials who are there. At both of the events in Dallas and Waco, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick was there, members of Congress were there. We're talking about high-profile people who could also be targeted. And in Waco, there were buildings near where the president spoke, but they were within the security perimeter. Now, the other thing that stands out from Trump rallies or speeches compared to other elected officials and candidates, he speaks for 90 minutes, which is far longer than most candidates I've covered. Security also obviously very tight for the current president and vice president. That was certainly the case earlier this week when Vice President Kamala Harris spoke in Dallas before thousands of her fellow sorority sisters. Audience members were told to remain in their seats until the vice president left the stage at the Kay Bailey Hutchison Convention Center. And that was just this week.
Listen, this happens just a couple of days before the Republican convention in Milwaukee. Security, it's already at such a heightened level. I'm not sure what in the world else are they going to do with this.
Right. I mean, we covered the political conventions in 2016 in Cleveland and Philadelphia. There are so many layers of security at these conventions, the highest level you can get for an event. And there is a wide security perimeter around the convention sites. Even before you get close to the stadium where the convention is held, the first layer is blocks away. So obviously there's a lot of walking. And everyone who has a credential to go inside has to go through the metal detectors and wands. Their bags are searched. They've got bomb-sniffing dogs to do all that. And that's just one layer. And it's already very tight security. And as Steve said, so now that it's going to be tightened, it just makes you wonder how much more screening there will be, how much larger of a perimeter we're going to be talking about, and how much freedom people will have to move around in the arena when the former president speaks, and whether there will be bulletproof glass around him.
Jack, a lot of this is about to happen here because of the heightened concern with an act like this. But the troubling aspect of it is if it could happen in Butler, Pennsylvania today, there is no guarantee that it can't happen again. And I know there are people really concerned about it. Give me your sense of what the RNC is doing right now to allay those fears, if you will.
Well, the RNC put out a statement tonight. They are still going to have everything go as planned. They want everybody to enjoy the convention. And this is the week that former President Trump will formally become his party's nominee for a third time. The other main news about to happen, of course, is Mr. Trump is going to reveal who his choice for vice president will be, which he has kept very quiet. So that could come either tomorrow or Monday, the first day of the convention. And the three people whose names have been mentioned most are North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum, Florida Senator Marco Rubio, and Ohio Senator J.D. Vance. But there could always be a surprise. Also announced today, the primetime speakers, and they include 6 Texas elected officials. Governor Greg Abbott, Senator Ted Cruz, Congressman Ronnie Jackson from the Panhandle, whose district includes Denton, Congresswoman Monica De La Cruz from South Texas, Congressman Wesley Hunt from the Houston area, and Dallas Mayor Eric Johnson, who announced he switched parties from being a Democrat to now a Republican. And one last item worth mentioning is President Biden is scheduled to be traveling to Austin on Monday. He's going to be speaking at the LBJ Presidential Library. And it would make sense that security will be at an even higher level. The president will be commemorating the 60th anniversary of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which President Lyndon Baines Johnson pushed for and signed into law, and I will be there to cover that.
Listen, I think it bears without saying that the horrific nature of what we saw today, regardless of political party or affiliation, no one in this country wants to see. And sadly, regardless of all the security efforts, it's happened yet again.
And yes, and that's obviously going to continue to be investigated. But the other thing that I think happened today is that you saw not only the list of Republicans, but a lot of Democrats came out and spoke as well, condemning this very act. And I think we're going to see that, a united front with all elected officials. Look, it's very, as everybody has said this evening, it's very intense. Politics is very much in your face now. Social media adds to that. And so I think you're going to see a lot of elected officials try to tamp things down a little bit.
Jack Fink with us on this evening, sir. Thank you so very much.